Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Business Banking at Jovia Financial Credit Union, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, CEO, keeper of the brand, marketing, and digital agency.
We're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview some of the top business leaders in the industry.
I'm psyched today because this is a really cool thing that's going on here. A good friend of mine as well. So helping provide us with business empowerment today is a leader in business, real estate, and cutting-edge technology. His name is Paul Poblete, and he is the CEO and founder of Apollo 3D Inc. It's a technology company that collaborates with architects, engineers, contractors, and real estate professionals. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you guys. Definitely.
We're so excited. I'm really waiting to jump into this. It sounds really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's very cool when you go to the website to see some of the virtual tours and things, but I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm just too excited. But why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of found yourself in this really cool cutting edge technology that you're in?
Definitely. It's been a journey. Let's say that. It's been a really long journey. But I'll be quick about it. I'll start at 18. So at 18, I joined the family business of real estate. My father was a broker, my sister, brother, real estate agents. And it was during like pre-pandemic time. Mm-hmm. So after the pandemic, there was like a lot of investors with a lot of properties, and we kind of transitioned to property management. So I got a taste of real estate property management. Did that for a good 10 years. Mm-hmm. In the middle of it, we thought about maybe kind of like branching out and doing something with hotels, maybe managing a hotel. So in brainstorming, we thought about, hey, let's see if I can get a degree in hotel restaurant management. So NCC came to mind. So I signed up to NCC and I got a degree in hospitality. And when I got out of it, I was trying to figure out how I could tie it into real estate, and it wasn't the right fit. So I had a buddy of mine that was actually a higher up at a pharmacy, and he said, hey, listen, you have this degree, let's just put it to use. So I got a management position at a pharmacy. I did it for a little bit, and in the middle of it, I ran into somebody who really changed my life. She's not with us anymore, but she really planted the seed of how this kind of all came to be. One day we were talking, and she said to me, Paul, this is not your personality. Why are you managing the store? This is my personality. You need to do something creative. You need to do something technology-based. This is not you. You got to follow your passion, your dream. So she planted the seed, and not that long after I left. And I left and I went back to school. I was like in my late 20s, like 28, 27. And I went to NYT for architecture. And I just, like a duck to water, I leaned into it, and it was just so fulfilling. And then in the middle of it, they were changing the curriculum. They were doing a lot of hand drafting, a lot of CAD work, 2D line work. So when they changed the curriculum, it was all 3D. They started using a software called Rhinoceros. They started using something called SketchUp. So I really leaned into it. In the middle of it, I met my second mentor. Her name was Pavlina. She really saw that spark in me, and she kind of took me under her wing. And in the middle of it, she kind of coached me, guided me how to model 3D design certain projects that were just beyond my capability. And she really helped me foster that growth. She invited me to be a teacher's assistant, which was a huge honor for me because I was a student at the time, and then teaching, and wow, this was just a lot. And I really learned so much from her. In the middle of it, right after, I signed up with a firm, and they became my third set of mentors, you could say, Mike and Ed. Mike Garziosi and Ed Hoschler, two awesome guys, awesome architects who really kind of understood the concept of architecture in the form of a practice, and coached me and kind of guided me. In the middle of this, I had an idea. I had an idea of introducing more technology and bridging that gap of technology with architecture. Because there's a lot of architectural firms that have a little bit of a gap with technology, and I realized there's a big need for introducing BIM, introducing 3D renderings and models, and 3D laser scanning. So I pitched the idea, and they were hesitant at first, but I ended up doing my own thing. And later on, when I showed them what I was doing, they kind of like rehired me as a kind of like a 3D scanning / 3D modeling kind of professional. So from there, that's where like the journey really took off, because during the pandemic, this tool, which I use is a 3D laser scanning camera, it 3D scans a room, and you can literally have a walkthrough inside of a house, and you get a link. So you can share that simple link. You can visit any property on the planet, and it's unbelievable. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, what you could do with this camera. So that's kind of how this all kind of unraveled, and it's just been a long, amazing journey. And I'm so grateful to all these people, because really, I was just standing on these giants, on the shoulders of these giants who really just paved the way for me.
Well, and you also had your own ideas that you brought to the table. And, like a good mentor, you're learning from the person you're mentoring just as much as you're trying to teach. And it seems like they kind of took to your ideas, which is really wonderful. But I want to back up just a little bit, because I want to understand, what is a BIM and what is a CAD?
Okay. So let's start with CAD. So CAD is a computer. I'm going through a blind spot. Let's go computer automated design. Sorry. And it pretty much is like 2D line work. And essentially, it's really the transition from hand drafting to that became the seamless method, and then the transition to CAD became BIM, it's building information modeling. So that became kind of like the backbone. So BIM is essentially creating systems within a system. So you can create a building, you create a structure, a house, and you can categorize everything. It organizes everything from design to construction to pretty much like the fulfillment of opening a building. So in a nutshell, you can draw a floor plan in a BIM software called Revit, and as you draw, it 3D models the building. And if you add a window and you move the window in a plan, it modifies the 3D view on the window. So you literally, everything gets modified in real time. It's amazing.
You are so
cool.
He's so excited. I'm excited. But you're speaking a foreign language to me. So how does 3D modeling work? And how can you use it in the world?
Okay, so essentially we are visual creatures. So we have 3D modeling helps pretty much just design and visualize your intent. Essentially, we model this in a computer, and we have a set of standard specifications of what you want, and we can design them for you. With the 3D laser scanning, pretty much it captures the existing conditions of a space, and then you can use that as a baseline to jump off and then create and then design and then figure out what you're going to do with that space.
Got it. That is pretty cool. I mean, it's awesome when you see it on the website, just seeing how this thing works. You really kind of have to experience it. But I think you're doing a great job of kind of explaining for folks who are uninitiated how this all works. Now, you mentioned it's the tip of the iceberg, and I agree from what I was seeing. What other ways can this technology be applied?
Okay, so essentially, as I said earlier, like it's a baseline. So from that baseline, you can literally, so when you capture data in this 3D camera, it's captured in something called a point cloud, because it uses lasers. So it creates an image, and that you can put into Revit, or you can put into a software called Rhinoceros, and you can model this within that space. So literally, you can, instead of being there at the physical spot with the tape measure, you can literally model this now in that space. The deviations are minimal, are so little that you don't even notice. So it's amazing.
Wow. And then in terms of usage for this, so obviously, yes, it's great for real estate professionals, because, hey, if I'm a real estate professional, and rather than driving a person from property to property to property, hey, here's the link. Are you interested in this house? Because if you aren't, we're not wasting our time, And if you are, all right, great, so we can narrow it down to these properties and go and view those. So I certainly see the application there. But you're also talking about, architecture and working with construction and some and engineers using this. So I imagine there's even more in-depth ways that those professionals can use this. So can you talk a little bit about that, how that might work?
Okay, so let's say I'll give you an example of something currently what's happening. So I'm working on a project in Manhattan, North Harlem. It's a massive brownstone. It's 4,500 square feet brownstone, and the building doesn't even have a certificate of occupancy. That's how old the building is. It's 1900s.
Wow.
So we have to get all the documentation set up, create existing conditions, document everything. So we get the camera, we scan everything, get measurements, and then we have to update also because if I recall, the project actually has one gas meter for the entire building, one electric meter. So we have to upgrade everything.
Wow.
So being able to have access to this information, visit the property anytime. So you send that file to an engineer, and the engineer or the electrician or whoever could see that file in that moment. They can assess and address the problem, or they can modify certain plumbing connections. It's literally a way to communication is key, essentially. It's a good way and a fast way and efficient way to communicate. And it saves time and it covers your butt. That's the
main thing. You are listening to Tara Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, and our guest today is Paul Poblete, founder and CEO of Apollo 3D Inc.
Now, Paul, who benefits most from these services? You mentioned real estate agents. So who else is hiring you? Like, is it the MTA or, rail? I'm just so interested. Is it, do you see this usage in space?
Yes, absolutely. The next phase in the future, I'm looking to see if I can get some government contracts in the phase. But right now, my main low hanging fruit is the architecture firm because that's my background. Diving into real estate agents and helping them out is the easy way to kind of communicate to the client how to, what a property looks like, how to explore the property, and if it's a right fit. Because unlike a traditional typical camera, you can always distort the views, and you can say, it's a nice sized room, but it's really tiny. With the camera, you can walk through the room, you can measure inside the room. It's something that you usually see on Realtor.com. Sometimes you have the virtual tours. That's what it is.
Oh, nice.
So essentially, it kind of facilitates that ease. And if you have like a house that has a bunch of tenants in the property, you have a hard time showing the property. So you can also scan the house, and then if you have tenants, you don't have to worry about bothering them or just having any issues. So essentially, share the link, and it's pretty consistent.
It's kind of like CarMax, buying a car, sight unseen, right? For housing.
It's incredible.
Exactly. Now, what sets you apart from others in this field, or are there any competitors in this field? Because again, this is something that, at least to me, the layman, it's a little new, but are there other competitors, and what sets you apart from them?
There are other competitors, but I think the main thing is that my main primary focus is technology and 3D. Anything that touches 3D in architecture, engineering, contracting. And the fourth one, which is real estate. But the other aspect is more of like the product design development and manufacturing. The other industry, my other competitors focus more of like the real estate and then the contractor side. But really, I feel like you have to keep adapting and adjusting your viewpoint because technology is evolving so fast. In 5 years, this is going to be obsolete. So I want to be on the cutting edge. I want to see what's the next thing. What is the next thing? Because then I have to adapt faster. So I'll give you an example. Henry Ford, when he first came out with his Model T, basically said he was asked this: "What are you going to do with your competitors? Because they're going to like copycat you." Mm-hmm. And he said, "I'm not worried about my competitors copycatting me because I'm going to innovate faster than they can copy." So my concept is to keep innovating, keep moving forward, and see what's on the next step. What's the bleeding edge of technology? That's my focus. What is the next thing? So I'm not worried about my competitors. I'm not worried about that because I want to focus on the future.
And your energy is like pouring through the airways right now.
I'm truly.
Don't hold back. We love it. We love it. And so that's really going to help push you forward. So tell us, what do you really like about your work? Because we can't tell that you enjoy it at all.
No, I'm not sure.
I think it's the ability to create, connect, and get that aha moment when you share a project. It's I don't know. It's beautiful when you see that light bulb go off and oh wow, I get it. I just get that instant satisfaction. They got it because we're visual creatures, and I love communicating that with people.
So do you dream in 3D?
Oh, you have no idea. I fly and
I can tell.
Now, your journey is pretty serendipitous. I mean, it does seem like so many things kind of came together, and I love that story and how that all came together, but I'm sure there's still a lot of challenges. So what are your main challenges, and how are you kind of dealing with that?
So, like I said earlier, I think the main challenge is, for me, is introducing, on the architectural side, introducing how this can be of value to architects and why they need this. And the main thing is cost saving, and essentially it's a cover your butt protocol, because in the end you're photographing everything, but with a laser, you're capturing existing conditions. And essentially, you can visit any room, any spot, and in the end, you're not going to have any issues with any miscommunication with contractors or plumbers, because you're capturing everything in real time and you're measuring everything in real time. So you have to really convey, and sometimes you have to just show them how it works. Just really go into their office and show them the walkthrough, and then show them how you can extract the data and put this into a CAD format, 2D line work, or just see if you can make a building out of it in BIM.
Now, do you take the spaces when you have the 3D scans, and then you start to say, all right, well, now, so we're applying this for construction. So now it's, all right, well, how do you want to fill the space? How do you want to change things around in design? Do you use it for that purpose as well?
Absolutely. That's essentially like the baseline method. You capture existing conditions, you get everything, and then you have your baseline, and then from there you basically design, and depending on what the client wants, if they want to add an addition, they want to remove a wall, you have a playground there in the 3D world where you can move around stuff and then see how it looks, because you could see something on paper. And that's another thing. You can see something on paper, but it doesn't translate well in the 3D world.
Yeah, I always have trouble with that. Even when I was playing like Dungeons and Dragons back in the day, you're looking at this map and it's like it's 2D and it's like, I'm not really sure where I am now. But with the 3D, you're there.
Yeah,
you're in the space.
And that's the thing. I feel like we're the disconnect as well, is that a lot of professionals don't believe that we're here now. The future is here. We're right now in the middle of it. We're sending rockets back into space. They're landing upright. It's crazy. And we have the technology to scan these spaces. We're in it. The future's now. We have to just connect the dots and help people.
Now, Ray mentioned gaming. Is that something that excites you as well? And do you see yourself in that industry?
It does. It does excite me, because the 3D, okay, so when I spoke to Pavlina, my other mentor, she said to me, start with one software, master it, get it perfect. Then you can use that as a template. These are my little secrets. You say I'm teaching you something. You use that as a template.
We're learning the industry secrets now.
Use it as a template, because a lot of the software works very similar to one another. And then you can just retrain and just practice and it's really just a template. So master one software, you could use that over and over again. You master the software, you can go into any industry. Listen to me. Any industry you want: automotive, jewelry, architecture. But the key here is if you love it, because a lot of it has to do with problem solving. And that's the thing that in the beginning, why a lot of people that get into this don't like it, because you get stuck on a design and you don't know how to modify a wall, you don't know how to modify a ceiling, you don't know how to modify something in 3D, and you give up. You have to have the grit to persevere and figure it out. That's the key.
The grit. Right.
I love that word.
Do you have
a
the
great
grit?
word. I hope so. I aspire to it. I try my best. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of misconceptions, because when you talk about technology, again, somebody like me, it's like a lot of it is a little bit lost, and then I experience it and I get it. But what is the biggest misconceptions that you encounter in your day-to-day?
I think pretty much it's the concept that what we do doesn't communicate well with the consumer, but it does, because we're visual people, we're visual creatures. We have 5 senses, but we're also visual learners, and the only way you can really show the product and show them how it works is really show them the product and how it works, and a lot of it has to do with the resistance to technology and learning new things. and I understand that, and that's why I'm here, because I love it so much that I'm willing to work with you, coach you, and figure this out together as a journey, as a process.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is Paul Poblete, founder and CEO of Apollo 3D Inc. My name is Donyshia Boston-Hill, along with Ray Schwetz on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Now, to kind of drive the point home about how this technology really is something that speaks to people, because, as you said, it does. To me, if I'm looking at a map, if an architect rolls out a map, I'm like, that's impressive. But when I see the 3D scans and the work that you're doing, you're experiencing it. You get a real feel for, all right, well, that's what I'm getting into. But for you, what's like a story where you can kind of tell us about how beneficial this was to someone that you work with?
So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So I can give you two examples, which is very similar. A real estate example. So this was in Merrick. This was really recently. This is with a
my hometown.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I should drop the agent's name, so I'm just going to say an agent in the area. Mm-hmm. So the house was fully rented. It was a 2-family house, and the basement was also an apartment. Similar situation with the tenant. It was hard to show because, again, you have to time everything. So again, scan the house, and it wasn't the best condition because it was being used, it was being lived, it was being loved. Let's say that.
Yep.
So I scanned the house, and I had to come back like 3 times. It was not a fun process, but it had to get done. So I came back 3 times, scanned the basement, scanned everything, every nook and cranny. The house was on the market for a few months, and it was hard to sell. As soon as the listing, we added the 3D listing, within a few weeks, boom, gone. What was the main thing was that the agent was able to share these links on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, and it also piqued curiosity, because then what happens is this. This is something I was talking to my wife the other day. Every house is somebody's dream house. Remember that. Mm-hmm. Every house is somebody's dream house. So it might not be your dream house, but it's somebody's dream house. So if they're looking at the house, it's their dream house. That's how you see it. Because I'm a seasoned agent. I'm familiar with this. I know the protocol. So if they're interested in the house, that they want the house, and they're looking at the house, they're seeing themselves in the house. They're figuring out where they're going to put the couch, the furniture, the drapes, blah blah blah. So it really helps visualize the homeowner in that house. So it did help the agent out for the aspect of the contractor. Right now, like we're doing this was a big project we're doing, and this is really, now we're producing CAD drawings, and then from the CAD drawings we're going to do BIM drawings. But this is really helping communicate to the homeowner, because the thing is, sometimes you might have a property that needs a lot of updating, but it's intimidating, it's scary, and one of the biggest fears is cost. How much is this going to cost? So with the scan, we can get something called the takeoff, because you measure everything, and then you can get square footage of the wall, square footage of everything, and then you can calculate, get an approximation of what things are going to cost before you start knocking things down.
Now, what I love about this is, so I wish that I had known you when I had construction done to my house, because we had a flood. My wife opened the door one night, and literally it was like an Amazon rainforest in my living room. Yep. Wow. We lost everything. We had a guy come in, and he had to like rip down walls and stuff. And what this technology would have done for us is it would have put me and the construction people on the same page, because I felt like we would talk about what we were doing. We're walking through the room, and I'm saying, all right, well, since we're not going to have any ceilings here anymore, I'm a big movie guy, so I wanted them to put speakers in the ceiling. And I said, all right, I have 4 speakers. They're here. Can you put just one in each corner of the room? 4 speakers, 4 corners of the room.
Right.
Simple enough. But when I came back and things were done and it was already too late, I had 2 speakers in the living room and 2 speakers in the kitchen.
Oh, no.
And they said, yeah, we set this up so that you could listen to music in here and in there. And I'm like, well, I'm talking about surround sound for movies, and now this won't work.
Oh, wow. This guy just...
And it was done, and I couldn't change it. And we had a bathroom that had a window, and suddenly it didn't have a window. They just cemented over it.
Oh, no.
They did the same for the basements. Now, with this technology, though, I see the benefit is that you would have all this agreed upon and in the software, so then you could just say to the person, this is what we agreed on. This is what's being done.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's a cover your butt policy.
Love it. That's great.
Now, Ray talked about some of the challenges he experienced not having this technology.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges you experience utilizing this technology?
So one of the things is you have to be very careful and careful with the equipment. Very expensive equipment. It's a very expensive camera. So you have to transport it carefully. You have to make sure it's not out in the open because it can get stolen. Those are the things. Also, you have to maintain it because you have to calibrate the machine. You always have to calibrate it. So sometimes you have to, if it's getting a lot of weird like software errors, you have to send it back to the factory and get it recalibrated, which happens. That's life. So that's on that side, the technical side. Essentially, really is just being organized and being consistent. And that's really the main challenge. If you're not organized and you're not consistent, it's just going to fall apart.
What's the accomplishments that you're most proud of in what you've been doing?
Oh wow, it's
a tough one.
Ask me that 30 years from now.
That's fair. And you know what? It seems like every day it's like a new challenge, and if you've met it and you're on the cutting edge of this technology, what's next for Apollo 3D?
What's next? I think one thing could be that we're talking about was looking into maybe doing some government contracts and also tying in the other aspect of Apollo 3D, which is more of the manufacturing. I am in contact with a machine company. Matt has this machine. It's really, really amazing. The technology that this machinist has. He's has CNC machines, 5-axis machines that literally can manufacture anything out of a block of aluminum. Amazing stuff. He's made parts for fighter jets. So when he said that, I was just entranced. I'm like, what? We can work together. So that's the next goal of see how we can tie in our mindsets and mastermind something great.
So literally, sky's the limit.
What's the one thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Find a mentor. But I think before you even find the mentor, I think you have to just take action and follow what you love to do. And just take the action, just initiate the process. And the concept of playing devil's advocate is just, am I doing the right thing? Could I do something better? There's always that one voice in the crowd that is in your corner and you don't realize they're in your corner until you look over. Take a look at that corner, see what they have to say.
I love that. Now, what's the best way for people to find information about Apollo 3D and the best way for you to be contacted?
Definitely. You can visit us at apollo3dinc.com and you can email us at support@apollo3dinc.com, or you can even give me a quick buzz and we can talk about how this can work for you. It's at 631-933-2618. And thank you again, guys.
Oh, thank you. We'd like to thank our guest, Paul Poblete. He's the founder and CEO of Apollo 3D Inc.
I'd like to leave you with DB's philosophy. Sometimes you got to run before you can walk. Iron Man.
We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, your co-hosts and producers. For more information, find us on nccradio.org. We're available on Odyssey, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.